So we're back in the butchery this week. Now last week we looked at the process of making sausages, and this week I believe we're going to look at another process. Is that right?
Yeah, absolutely. It's the sausage making process again was a very traditional process that you'll get at your local butchers.
Yeah.
And we're going to take that just a stage further this week and have a look at ham, gammon, and bacon, which essentially is an old way of preserving meat over a period of time. So I think the guys here are going to show us a little bit about, or explain where these cuts come from,
yeah,
and actually what the process is, and why also I think it's a little bit different to what we see on the supermarket shelves. I think sometimes we've kind of got used to this whole turkey ham thing.
Mm-hmm.
I know Marcus has got a personal hatred of that expression because it doesn't actually make any sense, and this is something that's very, very different from that. So perhaps you can show us a little bit of the cuts that we're going to be using.
Yeah, so we've got Mars and Marcus here to tell us more.
So ham starts off as pork leg.
Okay.
Okay, so we will get in a side of pork, and we'll have the leg. We could score, we could roll it, and sell it to a customer. They could then cook it. It would be roast pork.
Okay.
Simple. Now we can do a few things to that to make it ham and gammon. What we will then do with our piece of pork is we will take the bone out. The bone can be left in, but it's easier for us to take the bone out.
Yeah.
We will then cover it in salt, about 3% salt. So it's not not a great deal, and we'll then put it in a sealed container and leave it for about a week or so.
Okay.
Turning it every day. That salted pork becomes gammon. Right. So that is then a roast gammon or a gammon roll, depending if you put string around it. So gammon is essentially salted pork. There's another process we can then do, which is cooking it.
Yeah.
Now we can roast it. So some of our gammons are roasted,
yeah,
and some of our gammons are cooked over, kind of boiled for a number of hours. After they're cooked and cooled, they become ham.
Right, okay.
So at Christmas, we always get a lot of confusion. Some people, people have their own different terms, and it will vary from around the country. But simply, you can have pork, uncooked gammon, and cooked ham. You cannot have uncooked ham or cooked gammon.
Right, okay, fantastic.
Yeah.
So once you cook this piece of meat that's in front of us now,
that will become ham.
That will become ham.
Yeah.
Because at the moment, it's gammon.
Yes, absolutely. So the reason we add salt to pork in the first place,
yeah,
I think most people know, is to preserve it. So 100 years ago, or many, many years before that, no fridges about. Mm-hmm. You have cooler areas and larders and things like that and basements, but essentially salt is added to the pork.
Yeah.
The high salinity will draw moisture out of bacteria and molds and make them either die or stop working properly, and therefore the meat won't go off, certainly not as quickly.
Yeah.
Modern day hams, because we have fridges as well, we use less salt. So that's why if you have a gammon or a ham, you still have to put it in the fridge, because we just use lower salt levels. Yeah. Essentially.
So that this fridge still has a purpose in preserving.
Oh,
meat.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. This day and age, all meat should be put in the fridge.
Yeah.
No question about that at all. So yeah, as you can see here, we've put salt on this piece of pork. It's now gammon.
Yeah.
It has changed it quite dramatically. It's got a pinky colour to it.
Yeah.
And basically what's happened there is the salt has actually broken down all the muscle fibres. Mm-hmm. And that actually affects it on a very, very kind of microscopic level, and the ham starts to become translucent. It reflects light differently, and that gives it this nice kind of this colour. And you often see when you cut into a ham, you'll see it almost looks oily, and some people can think it's raw or gone off because it has a green tinge to it. Often it's like oil and water.
Yeah.
That's one of the chemical processes caused by the salt.
Because sometimes you see that in bacon
as
well.
Yeah, absolutely. And if we cut this open, in fact, if we cut this packet of bacon up here, we may be lucky enough to see it. There we go. So if I get the light right, you've got a little purple sheen there.
Yeah.
And it can go a bit green, a bit like if you look at a pigeon up close, you get a kind of iridescence going.
Yes.
Through
Yeah.
it. So yeah, that's down to the salt. So a lot of people come in and they'll say, or they'll phone up and they'll panic that their meat's off. If it doesn't smell off and it smells like bacon or ham, then the chances are it isn't. And certainly if you've just brought it and it's still in the fridge.
Yeah.
But yeah, you get this kind of colour.
Because I can say that I've probably fallen victim to that before, that I've thought that the meat's...
If in doubt, follow your nose. If it
Have a
smells,
good sniff.
yeah, if it smells, if it's
Yeah.
in date and it smells bad, it's bad. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. I mean, someone else, the shop may have not had it in the fridge properly, or something may have happened. But
Yeah.
you know, if it doesn't smell, chances are you're
Off.
fine.
Yeah, okay.
So that's our gammon. So yeah, we use about 3% salt, so it's not that salty. Once it draws this moisture out, the salt level goes up because obviously it weighs less.
Yeah.
So the salt's done two things. One, it's taken the moisture out, and also it's broken down some of the muscle fibres, which dehydration combined with that chemical process give it a very different texture to pork. It's much denser and more tender. So that's gammon. The one next to it,
Yes, which looks very suspicious.
yes, it looks very dark. It's almost black.
Yes.
The rind is not pink. It's a
It's
kind
like a bag of meat with oil in it.
yeah, it looks
Black,
oily
thick
and
oil,
chocolate.
that's what it looks
yeah,
like.
it's that is molasses and porter. Black ham is quite an old-fashioned style of adding flavour,
Yeah.
adding more flavour, but lots of people do it differently, and most people keep their recipe to themselves. So we all know that it's got.
Everyone has their own secret little...
Yeah, absolutely. It's
ways of
definitely
doing
got
it.
sugar in it. It's often
Yeah.
got molasses in it, and it's often got some kind of ale or beer. We use porter in this case. So even though you know the basic recipe, we don't really know what quantities. We will sell it as a gammon, so like this, but more often or not, we will cook it. We will roast it,
And then it will...
take slices
And sell it as a ham.
Have it as a ham. You can put in your sandwiches or have in your ploughmans or whatever.
So at the moment, as it stands, this is a gammon.
This is a gammon. Yeah.
Okay, I'm getting there. I'm
Getting
learning.
there.
Brilliant. Well, thank you all very much for
Thank
for
you.
taking us through that process.